So it's been a month since the Nothing Phone 2 has launched, and I have used this phone as my primary device for a good chunk of that 1 month period. And I have a proper detailed evaluation for you, a lot of which is real life usage based experiences and looking beyond just the tech specs, a lot of which I have already covered in my previous videos. If you haven't watched them yet, a link should pop up right now. So does the phone 2 make tech fun again? And is it good enough for me to continue using it as my primary device and leave my trusty old Galaxy S23 Ultra behind? Well, that's exactly what we're going to find out in this detailed 1 month review. Hi, I'm Ashad. You're watching Trakin Tech English, your destination for detailed, incisive gadget reviews. So while the design of the phone 2 is just a slightly refined version of the phone 1, it's still a conversation starter. At a recent Mercedes event, there were PR folks who were enamored by the phone. They didn't even know about the brand, but they really loved the design of the phone. That transparent glass back with the LED design aesthetic is definitely grabbing attention even today. The phone is definitely big, but the curves do ensure that the in-hand feel is very good. I'm coming from a Galaxy S23 Ultra and my hands are big too, so for me it was actually very comfortable in the hand. And I've been using this phone without a case, and not once did I worry about it slipping out of my hand or anything, because it stays planted at all times. However, I did notice that if you do place it on a flat surface, and even if it has a slight bit of an angle, it does slide down very easily, especially if you place it on the back. But nothing wants you to use it face down, so that shouldn't be too much of a problem. Now, while shooting B-rolls and in my regular usage as well, we've dropped it a couple of times, and there are only 2 dings to show for it in this soft aluminum metal frame. Otherwise, the build quality is pretty good. It's held up really well, including the fact that there are no scratches on the display, thanks to the fact that you do get Corning Gorilla Glass 5 protection. And I've used this phone without a screen protector too, mind you. Furthermore, quality control issues that plague the Nothing Phone 1, like the light bleeding problem, the camera fogging, dust entering the back, all of that I haven't faced on this device, and we haven't even faced that on the other, grey review unit that we have. So in my opinion, the quality control processes have definitely been improved by a huge margin compared to the Nothing Phone 1. Honestly, this phone feels very premium for the price. There are tight tolerances all around, and there's a lot of symmetry going around with respect to the ports, the button placement, all of that. It's really delightful for somebody like me who cares about these things. Talking about the glyph lighting feature, I've been using this exclusively for 2 specific purposes. The first one is flip to glyph, which basically puts the phone in silent mode and then it does like a glyph dance when it's doing it. And the second one is essential notifications, which is a new feature that's come with the Nothing Phone 2. Now with essential notifications on, I am 100% sure that I'm never gonna miss a message from my wife whenever she sends me one. But the other new glyph lighting additions, especially the glyph composer feature, that was a novelty initially, but after that I never used it. But since I don't use Uber anymore and the Zomato integration is not here yet, that tracking progress on the glyph light, that's not really helpful for me either. But I must say this, the glyph lighting feature is not just a gimmick anymore, at least for me. It's slightly useful, if not entirely useful. But does this make me use my phone less, like Carl-Pay intended to? Well, nothing, not even Carl-Pay's attempt will make me use my phone less. That's not gonna happen for sure. Maybe it will for you if you're more of a conscious person, but that's not me. Now talking about the display, it's a flat display. What I particularly like about this display is the symmetrical bezels on all 4 sides. Now I'm not somebody who obsesses over really thin bezel sizes. I do obsess over symmetry, so that matters to me a lot. And the punch hole is very tiny in the center as well. It's a very crisp panel. You get decent color reproduction as well, especially in the natural mode. And the touch response is very good too. But there's of course no HDR support for Netflix. It's not coming for sure, but there's support for HDR on YouTube if that's something that you care about. The speakers, while not the best in class, I was mainly using them for when I was watching Instagram Reels, and for that it works, no problem there. Another thing I must mention about the phone 2 is that it supports every single high-res Bluetooth codec out there, so LHDC, LDAC, everything works absolutely fine. That's definitely helpful if you're buying a high-resolution Truly Wireless earbud. But I do have a minor gripe about the display. We were out and about shooting in Hampi, and sometimes when the sun became extremely bright, the display wasn't bright enough to sort of negate the sunlight. But that's generally the case for most phones in this price category. On the other hand, the auto brightness is tuned exceptionally well and the proximity sensor works well too. Part of the display is also the in-display fingerprint scanner. It's placed slightly slow, but it's really fast to unlock. And I've been using this fingerprint scanner also for authentication on my, banking apps. Now, I did hear some concerns about the haptic feedback on the Nothing Phone 2. It's definitely not the best for sure. Samsung phones, Pixel phones definitely do it better. But Nothing did issue an update. With the 2.0.2 update, it made the haptic feedback slightly better for typing specifically. So now the vibration feedback is not as intense, it's slightly light, and therefore it's very nice to type now. So I was typing faster after the update than I was before it. Now we all know that the Phone 2 has Snapdragon 8 Plus Gen 1 inside, and it's one of the best tuned Snapdragon 8 Plus Gen 1 phones out there, not just for performance but also for power efficiency and of course the resulting battery life that you get with it. So this is the best performing Snapdragon 8 Plus Gen 1 phone when it comes to battery life. It's been very trustworthy for me. So consistently I got 7 hours of screen on time, which is good, but there were times when I got 8 hours of screen on time as well, which is fantastic. The fact that I didn't have to worry about charging even in our long trip from Pune to Hyderabad to Hubli to Hampi is something that's a relief, especially considering the fact that you don't always need to charge the phone and have a charger around. And I was using the phone regularly for taking pictures, listening to music, all of that. And therefore the comparatively slower 45-watt charging speeds also don't make too much of a difference, because this phone lasts you a day with 20% battery left in the bank, so you can put it for charge overnight and you're good to go. Also, considering the fact that it comes with wireless charging support, I was constantly charging it on my car charger. Now talking about performance, I've been playing games on the Nothing Phone 2 and it doesn't heat up at all. The only time that it got slightly warm was when, again, we were using it in direct sunlight in Hampi, but that's bound to happen considering the fact that it was constantly looking for network coverage and 5G network as well in an area where network was kind of spotty. Now whether you're playing a graphically intensive game like Genshin Impact or something like 20 minutes till dawn, which is not as intensive, do try the game. It's really addictive. This phone does perform well. I have no complaints there. But more importantly, in everyday use, the phone just flies. It responds to your touches immediately. The animations are extremely swift and fast. Using this phone on many occasions made me feel like I'm using a far superior product compared to many other Android phones, not just in this price class, sometimes even more expensive phones. To draw parallels, it actually feels like you're using a OnePlus phone until the days of Oxygen OS 11. I used to love the experience then. I love the experience of the Nothing Phone 2 now. The adaptive refresh rate tuning from 1Hz to 120Hz is also done extremely well. This is also one of the reasons why you get fantastic battery life. Very good job with all of this tuning, Nothing. 2 thumbs up. Another aspect that I liked about the Nothing Phone 2 in regular usage is the connectivity. I was exclusively using this phone with Airtel and Jio SIMs inside it, and literally I had no problem whatsoever. I got Jio 5G everywhere and of course Airtel 4G everywhere because Airtel's 5G network is not as widespread yet. Neither did I face any issue with Wi-Fi, and during calls the earpiece is pretty crisp and the quality is very good too. Also, I noticed for the very first time voice over NR was activated on the Nothing Phone 2. This is something that seems to be a problem with Nothing Phone 1, some users were telling me, but the Phone 2 has it and that's a nice addition too. Now talking about software updates, Nothing has been pretty proactive about software updates. We're currently on Nothing OS version 2.0.2. And talking about bugs, even that volume level bug, the fact that the system was crashing, all of that I didn't face on my unit at all, even before the update. After the update, it's even better. It's a slick, blow-to-air free software experience that I absolutely love. And Nothing OS also has a lot of cool features, so I've set it up with enlarged folders with a cover icon for specific apps that I use, and I also use that quick settings widget on the home screen itself. It's very, very helpful. But I had a minor annoyance with the quick settings widget on the lock screen. For example, what used to happen is that suddenly my phone would go into battery saver mode without me even knowing about it. And that was because it was getting pressed inadvertently and there's no haptic feedback to it like you get with the app tiles at the bottom of the lock screen. So it made me feel like I should not use these quick setting tiles on the lock screen. I'll just go to the home screen and use it instead. That apart, I really love the software experience on the Nothing Phone 2. I know that a lot of people did mention that they do not like the design of the notification shade and the quick settings tile panel out there, but I don't mind it. But I do mind the fact that if you have to make a switch to a different mobile network for 5G or 4G, for example, if I wanted to switch from Airtel to Jio or Jio to Airtel, you have to actually click on the tiny text right below, the icon itself, which is kind of odd. You should just directly be able to click it and go into changing the mobile data settings. So yeah, I mean, I hope Nothing takes this feedback. Finally, let's talk about the cameras, and I'm not going to get into the specs. You all know it already. Now, what I feel is after the 2.0.2 update, which was supposed to make the camera experience way better, I feel that Nothing might have miscalculated a few software tweaks that have made to the algorithm, and the performance has slightly taken a hit. The HDR performance is especially weird now, and it's worse than what it was earlier. In this picture, you'll notice around the area of the tires, the shadow are too dark and there's no detail at all. This is probably because Nothing has gone ahead and improved the speed of processing of HDR, thereby taking a hit in the quality. In fact, the HDR pictures from the selfie camera were overprocessed too. Also, skin tones in HDR, whether you're shooting with the selfie camera or the primary camera, they do look quite odd. But it's not all bad because the primary camera does perform well in even lighting, where I could get a lot of details and good looking skin tones as well. What's improved from the 2.0.2 update is definitely the low light performance in when you have enough amount of light around and it's not extreme low light, especially the HDR in this picture and the kind of details that you get from it. The IMX 890 is definitely coming in handy and it's very, very good. But low light in extreme low light is not very good. I wanted to capture the moon here, but this was a really bad result. Ultrawide is nice at night and it helps having a high resolution ultrawide angle camera. But the ultra-wide angle color science consistency has still not been achieved, which is a concern considering the fact that the Phone 1 achieved it within 2 updates. Stabilization in videos have definitely improved and the 4K 60fps does do well in terms of capturing colors and details. Again, HDR performance is not the best. Also, sound recording is not as good as OnePlus or Samsung phones in the same price class. Low light video recording is just very bad. I'm not a fan at all. In fact, I wanted to shoot this video from within the car that we were driving into, and this is not a footage that I can use. Overall, camera performance is an area where I think Nothing has a lot of scope for improvement. They're getting a few things right, but there are some things that need fixing as well. It's kind of inconsistent right now. The Nothing Phone 2 does one thing really well, something that Carl Pei wanted to achieve: make you forget what specs are there inside the phone, at least for the most part. This is similar to the kind of experience that you can expect from an iPhone, and in that sense, this could truly be Android's iPhone, and it's somewhere closer to what Carl Pei's vision is. But for the next phone, whether it's a Nothing Phone 3 or Nothing Phone 3 Pro or Nothing Phone 4 or whatever it is, right? I want Nothing to go and make an all-out flagship. A flagship that will compete with the best of the best and also have the best cameras. I want them to bring the fight to the big guns because the Phone 2 is there, but it's not entirely there. They've nailed the basics with the design, the display, the performance, the battery life, and the network performance, and the software as well. But camera is its Achilles heel right now. Would I still recommend the Phone 2 after 1 month of usage? Yes, for all of the reasons that I mentioned right now. But if you want the best camera phone under 50,000, then this is definitely not it. In fact, it's not even in the top 5, I would say. That was my detailed 1 month review of the Nothing Phone 2. I hope it was helpful for you. If it was, definitely give us a thumbs up and maybe even subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next one. Until then, keep tracking and stay safe.